Rank has its privileges.
And I'm just like throwing stuff over the telepathic bond as I get because there's no reason not to.
Oh, or are you actually putting this over telepathic bond? Then Liberation
Yeah.
will say rank has its privileges.
Wait, are you here?
If he's there, he better move his little token up there. And Liberation, you are indeed put in charge of a particularly large Harmonium force. Two contingents, I don't know the actual military word, but I'm sorry, 3 groups of 12 soldiers. Each one has their own flying wizard meant for containment.
Mm-hmm.
And each of those groups has a planner man catcher assigned to them.
Okay.
So you're in charge of overseeing those 3 groups. Each of those 3 groups has their own leader inside of them as well. So basically, you've got 3 guys that you're working with that you can issue orders to.
Okay.
All the other Harmonium groups at this point have already kind of gotten their pre-March pep talk. So what do you tell these guys? One of them asks why you smell like beer.
That's why I'm late.
First night in Sigil my life, so oof. Gotta party it up sometime, eh?
Good pep talk.
Make a charisma check on that. See if that goes over well.
Probably not.
You can make a charisma deception, actually.
Deception? I don't think I'm trained in that.
All right, well...
No, I'm not, but that is a 19.
Okay. That seems like they think it's a very weird thing for their hardhead commander to tell them. But you also see some looks of, like, empathy amongst these soldiers, many of which are probably hungover.
Yeah.
Hey, he's one of us.
Yeah.
You know that commander, he's a good guy.
It's the kind of commander you can have a beer with.
Right.
Exactly.
He just got to go up and wring it out of his hair.
Yeah.
Kind of commander you can have a beer on.
So what do you tell your troops to get them jazzed before the march?
That no matter what happens today, justice will be seen throughout the entire ring. Like that's kind of the thesis statement. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now the grumblings have turned to that you sound more like a mercy killer than a hardhead. Do you give them any particular orders? Keeping in mind that you have 3 flying spellcasters at your behest as well.
I'm going to call the commanders over and speak to them in private. I'm going to give them the descriptions of the way that the party looks normally.
Okay.
As in not disguised, as in not seeminged.
And at least one of them is already aware of some of these descriptions, because you guys are kind of famous faces in Sigil these days.
Oh? How so?
The 400 souls. Who hasn't heard about them?
I hadn't. Like I said, I just got to town last night.
So what do you want them to do with these descriptions? And do you include Nath in that?
Yes. And if they are spotted, then they are to be captured. They are not to be executed or killed or anything like that. They are to be taken alive.
And what description do you give for Riot?
I give the description the way she normally looks.
Well, Riot doesn't really have how she normally looks.
Shark tail, shark teeth, furry legs.
Okay, so you're not describing her in her Osprey vestments then?
Yeah.
Okay. And then,
Mahogany's in a room with 5 people. He assumes one of them is Riot.
one of the commanders asks, why are these people of any interest?
Because, you know what? I was just told they are to be taken and not harmed. I wasn't given any more information other than that.
And you get agreement from your commanders, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, that order comes from higher up.
Okay. Now, the commanders also bring up the magic you have at your command, the 3 wizards.
Okay.
Essentially, they've prepared mostly spells to contain and mitigate damage rather than outwardly slay indepts. The main focus that they've been briefed on is to identify enemy spellcasters and neutralize them with anti-magic field, and then neutralize groups of potential hostiles with mass suggestion. They're going to be doing this from above the battlefield. They all have rings of flight.
Okay.
And they ask if there's any deviation from those orders.
No, that's about what I expect you to be doing.
Right.
And then I'm gonna relay that information to Riot.
Riot is gonna say, all right, noted. Do you guys have counterspell?
And then I'll ask the mages, can you interrupt magic as it's being cast?
They're armed with counterspell, dispel magic, and each one has a cast of anti-magic field.
Good. Okay.
One of their primary goals is to neutralize in-depth spellcasters, because they are expecting in-depth spellcasters to be very violent and destructive.
Okay.
They want to keep like the ice storms and the fireballs and the light that kind of stuff to a minimum if possible.
All right. Then I'll put that back to Riot and Nath as well.
Those are some big guns. They probably don't have a lot of the bigger ones.
It does sound like to Nath, though, when Nath gets that information, that Factal Saren has had to call in a lot of favors among the ranks to pull in this kind of spellcasting.
Yeah, that's not like your 3rd level. That's not your 5th level wizard that can just cast fly. These guys are professionals.
Right.
Yeah.
There are no small number of high-level Harmonium spellcasters, but getting this many of them to go on this kind of mission is unprecedented. Also, some smattering of the rank and file are also spellcasters, but they don't have any particular orders.
I'd just watch out for dispel magics, because that will take down your seeming. If you're caught in the area, they'll probably drop some area dispels.
And to all the soldiers under my command, I will remind them of the incident at the Temple of Bahamut a few months ago, and say we don't want another public relations disaster like that.
And one of your commanders kind of scoffs and says, "Why would people care if we break a few indepths?"
Because this is an operation unlike any other that has been in this city in a long time. So it's going to generate backlash no matter what we do. The idea is we're trying to mitigate negative perception.
Okay. And then eventually the order comes to roll out. And you guys are indeed marching directly to the market ward. And the only time, Nath has probably seen this kind of march before. Seeing drills and things with Harmonium militias on the homeworld. With, I guess it's called Orthros or something. Mm-hmm. Somebody looked it up last week and actually pointed it out. And before long, Mahogany and Nath, you guys start seeing and hearing like forerunners, touts for the Indepts, coming back in the Bazaar, running in with word that the Harmonium are on the move, and they number several hundred. And when the news reaches you, you see a couple of them in the Bazaar scatter, take flight, deciding to not stand and fight after all.
Do I see any of, I'm sorry, I forgot his name. The person we've been working with.
Dwath?
Dwath. Do I see any of Dwath's people around?
How would you be able to identify them on sight?
I'm looking for people who look like they're not... Because my understanding from talking to Dwath was that their plan was to make it clear that the Harmonium were starting the fight.
Right.
So I'm looking for people who don't look like they're ready to shoot the first person to come into view. People who look like they're trying to keep the place a little quiet.
I mean, you see a lot of people like that.
Okay.
Just kind of reading the faces and demeanors of the people here, you see people who are spoiling for a fight. You see people who just look very nervous and scared. Like their entire life savings is in this cart full of apples, and if it gets ruined, they're done.
Yeah.
And all they have to defend this cart full of apples is a quarterstaff. So, I mean, you see people, it runs the gamut everywhere. And then, on top of everything else, it starts raining very, very hard.
Well, hey, Lightning Storm will work really good.
Okay. Riot and Liberation.
Yeah.
As your groups... So, Riot, you're just marching in the middle of one of these groups.
Yeah.
Your commander, before you march out, asks if any of the rank and file, meaning you, if any of you are apprentice spell slingers. He wants to know what kind of firepower he has to work with.
Riot will speak up, say, I know a bit. And she warns him, I'm going to be casting a buff on the way there as you walk in, so, like, and she points up there, make sure that like, those don't interfere or anything, right?
And then Commander looks at you, kind of quizzically, and says, you want the professional wizard to not interfere with you?
Yeah.
Gather for buffs or you'll die.
He asks what spell you're intending to cast.
Oh, I got, enhanced ability, stuff like that.
Well, what kind of weapon are you wearing right now?
She has disguised her fork to look like a pike.
Like a pike? Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody else in your little group speaks up when he asks about spell slinging. And when you give, like, a kind of non-committal answer about, enhanced ability, whatever I got, he says, how about this? And he points to the pike and says, stick to using that, leave the spells to those who know what they're doing, and don't let me catch you casting anything.
And Brad goes, what do you ask if I want spells for? If he's not going to cast it. He looks to the person like, can you believe this guy?
He looks at the person next to him. He gives you a look like, don't fucking cast anything. What are you doing? You're down here. You're not up there. As the march gets closer and closer to the Bazaar, you do see groups start breaking off from the main thoroughfares off into smaller and smaller streets. Nath, your alarms start pinging, which means you've got only a matter of minutes before they're upon you.
Okay, I'll just move my way into the bazaar. As I enter the bazaar, there are groups that are obviously ready to fight, like weapons out, armored up.
Very few actual groups. There are some groups of Indepts who have shown up preparing for the fight, but mostly it looks like a mass of individuals. There's no order. There's no rank and file. Before we do anything else, let's go ahead and roll initiative. This is not going to be a traditional combat encounter, at least not yet. But let's try to pretend like we know what we're doing a little bit.
Why? Why start now?
All right, Riot, what you got?
5.
Liberation.
7.
Serenity. Not Serenity. Serenity's dead. What am I saying? Not Serenity.
Just waiting for you to figure that out. Nath acts at 18.
Serenity just lays there and rots some more. And Mahogany.
25.
Damn, is that the highest initiative we've seen?
That's what not having a plan will do for you. I'm ready for anything.
So, on your initiative, because this is going to be very kind of zoomed out and abstract. We're not going to do like 6-second rounds because that would be extremely obnoxious. If we do have to zoom in, we will. But on your initiative, that represents both your actions and anybody that you're controlling at the moment. Anybody that you are moving with and can assert control over. So, Riot, if you want your group to do a particular thing, you might have some difficulty. Liberation, you would have a much, much easier time. So we'll start with Nath. When you started moving back into the Bazaar, did you relay information over the bond about the alarms?
Yeah, I'll let people know that the alarms are pinging. They're coming from... Do I get an idea because of which alarms, if they're coming from every angle or just one side, or what?
I mean, they're all coming from this particular direction towards the ladies' ward, but it's pinging several different alleys, including 1 or 2 that you thought weren't going to ping at all.
Yeah, I'll relay that. I'll say they're pretty much coming through every possible any opening between 2 buildings they're coming through, but they're all coming from the west.
So, Mahogany, you can take your first action with that knowledge. You're still up on the roof, and you see in the distance several of these Harmonium guards also climbing up onto roofs and making their approach that way, armed predominantly with crossbows to cover the march on the streets. But so far, no shots have been fired. So what do? Did we lose Mahogany?
Yeah, my headset was dead. I'm sorry. I'm back.
Welcome back.
All right,
Did you
so
get that?
no, I'm assuming people are coming in now.
You
From
heard
everywhere on the west.
Yeah, Nath relayed information about his alarms pinging, and
Yeah.
off in the distance of your eyesight, you can see some Harmonium are taking position on rooftops to cover the streets with crossbows.
I'm good where I am.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep an eye on it.
Okay. And Nath, you're up.
If no one's actually started any violence yet, Nath is just kind of pulling back a bit behind the front line, just trying to sort of just stand there nonchalantly, like he's just another worried Indept.
What are you armed with at the moment?
Nothing. No weapons out. A couple of daggers in my belt, but that's it.
You hear a scraping noise next to you. You turn around and see this incredibly bulky... he has the facial features and such of a human, but he's much too large to be a human. and he's dragging on the cobblestones 2 very battered-looking swords. And he picks one up. It looks like a 2-handed sword that he's lifting with one hand. And he holds it out towards you. And he says, "You know how to swing one of these?"
I'll just sort of pull a dagger out of my belt and kind of flick it between my hands quickly. A little bit too bulky for me, thanks.
And he shakes his head disapprovingly. Says, "That won't go all the way through a neck."
Yeah, you find the holes in the armor. You'd be surprised. Only takes 4 inches to kill a man.
You say it only takes 4 inches to kill a man?
Yep.
Make a strength intimidation check.
I mean, dex intimidation? Come on.
No, strength.
+0, okay. 14.
14?
Yes.
Okay. And the man laughs, like, very loudly and very sincerely. And then he takes one of these swords in each hand. And he says, "When you die today, I will drink in your honor."
Nod to him.
He's
Is he wearing,
dual-wielding broadswords.
Basically, yes.
Is he wearing the in-depth badge, or is he just not wearing any colors?
He's wearing some battered, what looks like leather armor.
Mm-hmm.
With a chain shirt over top of it that looks like he's had to tear it in a few places to get it to fit over his frame.
Okay.
But no, you don't see any faction colors or anything of the sort.
Okay.
But then he steps forward to join where some of these indepts are massing up to meet the hardheads.
And I'm going to do a quick mental relay to Riot. These guys, do the non-spellcasters have orders to do things as non-violently as possible?
That's what I heard.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I gave to my men.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it for my turn.
Nath, where you're standing in the bazaar, a lot of the indepts are massing up around the main streets inn. And you see a lot of weapons come out.
Mm-hmm.
You see 1 or 2 of the more reckless ones go charging off into that direction in alleyways. And from behind you, several arrows are loosed over your head into that direction. Liberation, you're up. Where are you marching your 3 groups of 12?
I'm going to march them back down the pathway that I left open.
All
Here.
3 groups?
I'm going to direct them to split them up. I'm going to direct them to split them up into different alleyways and meet back up at Copperman Way.
Okay, so where is each group going? Because you said you were sending them up here. If they're coming in up here, they're not going to meet back in Copperman Way.
Yeah.
Actually, no. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to have them split up, and then head south through the alleyways and such, down toward Mahogany's shop here at the end of Duskgate Road. So the idea is I'm going kind of like this.
Draw a line.
Yeah. So kind of through the alleyways and such through here toward Duskgate Road.
Okay.
Toward Mahogany's shop.
And one of the commanders, the one who asked earlier about who cares if we bust a few indepts, you could tell he's definitely not pleased with these orders. He gives you a really dirty look about it. But he doesn't question them.
Okay.
So all of your men, the wizards are marching on the streets alongside you. Is the play... You're not going to be able to march this kind of force through those kind of streets unseen.
That's fine.
What are the orders for when you meet resistance?
take them alive, but if they keep fighting, then the order is going to be to no civilian casualties. That's going to be the order for these guys.
Okay, no civilian casualties.
Yeah.
At this point, the Harmonium come into view of most of the main thoroughfares into the Bazaar. You see them marching up the roads. Riot, you get your first glimpse of several in-depth arrows flying in your direction, over your head, or landing in the streets before you.
About where are we when my turn comes up?
Liberation is starting to march down this way. Riot, you're going to be about here-ish.
That sounds good. It's about where I wanted to be when my turn came up.
It's your turn right now, actually.
Cool. All right, let's get this terrible plan into motion. How many people are in my group?
13, counting you.
Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping to be part of one of the larger groups.
Well, each group of 12 has an individual commander, and in those groups, 3 or 4 of those have a commander over them, etc. But most of the groups are going to have between 8 and 12 in them.
Okay.
Yours has one more because they weren't expecting you. You showed up after roll call.
Where's the wizard right now?
Marching behind your group. So he's on the street. But he hasn't taken flight yet.
Okay. Can he see me?
Oh, yeah.
Is he watching me?
Is he watching you?
Yeah.
Nobody in particular is watching you at the moment, glancing around.
Okay. Then I am going to... Fortunately, this doesn't have a material component, so I don't need to do junk with my guitar. I can just softly sing the song and make the hand motions.
Okay.
And cast Seeming on every hardhead within a 30-foot radius of me. I was hoping to be in the middle of a large group.
Well, I mean, there's another group of 12 marching next to yours, and then one on the other side of yours.
Excellent. I'll get as many of them as I can, too.
Okay. Let me just read the spell real quick. I think I like where this is going, though.
I don't think you have any idea where this is going.
Does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to go somewhere boring.
No.
All right, so
life is getting very interesting.
Instead of rolling 30 actual saving throws, I'm going to roll one saving throw and abstract it out.
I don't think... Oh, yeah, they can make Christmas saving throw. Okay, yeah.
Uh, 17 doesn't pass, right?
Nope.
That fails by what, 2?
By 2, yeah.
By 2, okay. So you cast a spell, and we'll just say that 4 out of 5 hardheads fail this saving throw.
Okay, sounds good. All of those hardheads you failed, and I'm going to include myself in the spell, just to kind of throw off the track a bit. They are still wearing their Harmonium armor, in as much as they're still wearing their Harmonium helmets. Apart from that, they're completely naked.
And immediately, because we're talking, there was about almost 40 Harmonium probably walking in range easily. And many numbers of them are now totally naked, except for their Harmonium helmet. And it is... Immediately, the march stops, and there is confusion being seated around. Your commander is one of the ones who passed the save, looks back and sees this and immediately begins angry and is shouting, what's going on? What kind of trick is this? The wizard, along with you, who failed the save, is looking every bit as confused. So what you've done immediately is halted the march of these three groups. And there's lots of dongs and boobs now.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look around and get a good look and blaze all this in my memory.
The rest of the Harmonium groups, on their turn this round, will enter the Bazaar and the festivities will begin. Mahogany, you see some kind of, back in the, towards the ranks of the ones coming up the main thoroughfare, this Copperman Way here, for some reason stop marching, and there seems to be some confusion back there, but you can't really make out the details. You don't see...
Yeah.
You don't see anybody's dong from this distance.
Did I see those arrows that got fired?
Oh yeah. It didn't look like they were aimed at anyone in particular. Just like a few indepts jumped the gun.
Yeah, I'm gonna head over to where the indepts jumping the gun are.
Okay.
And I'm going to use Stone Shape. And I'm gonna block off their view of what's going on. And I'm going to shape the stone into like a wall sort of thing with the sigil of the indepts on it.
The problem with stone shape is you need actual stone to make it work. So what?
Okay, then I'll use wall. I'll do the same thing with wall of stone.
You're going to use wall of stone to create like a wall?
Yeah, I just want the shape, the insignia of the indepts on it. Basically, what I want this to look like is, hey, some indepts started firing, and in return, other indepts put up a wall to stop them from starting the fight.
Okay. These pauses between rounds are me making notes of what you guys do on every round.
Yeah.
Alright. Now, the indepts don't have like a firing line or anything set up. How big is the wall of stone?
I think it's fairly large. Let me check to see exactly what it says here.
Okay. But you can identify, like I said, this is like a mass of individuals. But you identify a couple of snipers that you scouted their position previously that could have possibly fired these first shots.
Yeah. It's not so important that I block the exact people who did it. It's more important that it looks like I did.
Got you. Go ahead and make a... Your spellcasting ability is Wisdom, yes?
Yes.
Make Wisdom Deception check.
Okay. I had to start rolling badly eventually. That's a 8.
An 8? Okay. Are you moving from your position, or are you staying put up there?
I'm staying put. I don't need to move yet.
Because there's so much confusion and so much sound and noise and thing right now that casting that spell would not have given away your hide position. So your hide is still in effect.
Okay.
That's going to bring us to Nath, down in the Bazaar with the broadsword man.
Are we doing like action move bonus action, or is things still abstract enough I could cast a couple of free buff spells I wanted before?
No, we'll keep it really abstract for now.
Okay, so I'm gonna give myself a true seeing.
Okay.
Is there anything that pops up as soon as I have true sight?
Let's find out. Almost certainly, yes.
Surprise, demons and devils everywhere.
Every single hardhead looks like a fiend.
So you can see out to 120 feet, but you can't see into the ethereal plane from Sigil.
Right.
Not that there's anything to see in the ethereal plane from Sigil. Okay. And when you cast the spell, where do you look around? Like, where are you...
Checking the direct... Like, I'm still at the back, basically. I'm trying to be about 90 feet away from where the front line effectively would be.
Okay.
Like, just scanning. Mostly I'm looking for invisible spellcasters. If any of these flyers have cast invisibility on themselves to get an idea where they might be.
Okay. Make a perception check.
Okay.
Wisdom perception.
There we go. Perception is... That'd be a 9. Let me mark off those components real quick. It's a 9 on perception.
Okay.
After that, I would like to cast Mislead and move my illusionary double about 60 feet away from where I am.
Mislead.
Which is an awesome spell.
What about Mr. Lead? My spell
I wonder
app
what
is...
mislead does.
That's why I have to look it up, because it might be misleading. Is True Seeing concentration?
No.
No, it's not. Okay. Are you leaving True Seeing up?
Yep.
Okay.
These are both hour-long spells, so I wanted to wait until things got started.
Okay, but
I think he has to at this point.
Mislead is concentration. Is it your intent to keep that spell up?
Unless there's something else that comes up that's critical, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, with your True Seeing up, glancing around, nothing leaps out at you. And that also makes sense. The Harmonium wouldn't resort to those kinds of tactics typically, especially if they want it to look like a show of force. They want people to know.
I mean, I was just thinking there might be one of those spellcasting heavies might have had improved invisibility up.
No, not to your eyes yet.
Okay.
What
So
about?
yeah, I've put my illusionary double about 60 feet away from me.
Towards the line,
Yeah.
or okay.
Yep. And then, have they come to blows yet?
The giant broadsword man with you thinks your double is you marching up to
Obviously. Yep.
Join the
Double pulls
line.
his daggers out as he's doing it.
So, and he has his broadswords out. Hasn't come to blows yet. What you've seen is a couple of arrow shafts loose from inside the bazaar, and then a few moments after that, this wall of stone encompassed several of the buildings in that direction, with what you recognize as the in-depth sigil on it.
Okay. And then I want to move towards the front line. I want to be about 100 feet away.
Okay.
And that'll be the end of Nath's actions.
What level spell is Wall of Stone, Mahogany?
It's pretty high.
5th, I think.
Yeah. Here's the thing, though, about Wall of Stone.
Yep.
It's a non-magical Wall of Stone.
Does it have a duration?
No.
So
Well, it has a
spell
duration of
can't
10
be
minutes.
dispelled. Oh.
That's weird.
Yeah,
yeah,
all
the wall-
magics can be dispelled, but spell magic.
No.
Not literally all magic, but Wall of Stone definitely
Yeah.
can. Unless it
Wall
literally
of Stone
says...
Wall of Stone can be dispelled if I lose my concentration, but the wall itself is non-magical, and if I maintain concentration, it becomes permanent and isn't a magical wall.
Unless the spell literally says this cannot be dispelled, it can be dispelled.
It specifically says a non-magical wall of stone. And then at the end it says, if you maintain concentration, the wall becomes permanent and can't be dispelled.
I mean, I would think that would mean
It can-
after the 10 minutes.
Right, it can be dispelled until it becomes permanent.
Oh yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Because spells that can't be dispelled literally say this cannot be dispelled. Stuff like...
Or they're instantaneous. Like a creation spell that's instantaneous, you can't
Right.
dispel it because it just makes a non-magical thing.
What this is saying is that when you're maintaining... If you maintain concentration on the spell for the entire 10 minutes, then it becomes permanent. But until
Yeah,
then,
the part that
it's
was
a magical
confusing me
effect.
was non-magical, but now that I think about it, it's possible that's to say, like, this wall can be destroyed.
Yeah, it means it's not like it's not. You don't need a +1 weapon or anything to damage it. Yeah.
That makes sense.
How embarrassing would that be if you made a wall of stone and in that 10 minutes somebody mined the fuck through it? Like, just come to the other side with a pickaxe and a beard.
And then you stop concentrating on it. You're like, oh, you wasted all that effort.
That's going to bring us to the Indepts. And at this point, several of the more reckless Indepts have run ahead to meet the first couple groups of Harmonium. So blows are now being landed. But these are just the ones that are essentially just going to run out and get wrecked immediately. Most of the massive Indepts, the ones who are here to defend the Bazaar, are standing their ground here. Alright, Liberation. This is going to be basically the last action before all the shit hits the fan. So what's your goal coming down these roads? Is it to try to create the appearance of a Harmonium front moving in from the other direction? Did your headset die too? Is today the day of dead?
I was on mute. I was on mute. I'm sorry. I thought I wasn't, but I'm bad.
Well, it's Easter, so we just have to roll the stone away, and everybody's headset will come back to life.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna come down this way toward, and then start sweeping up through the Great Bazaar.
Okay.
Up through this way.
You do meet some resistance as you're going through this alleyway, and you're not going to make it the entire distance on this action.
That's fine.
Because you're marching essentially 40 guys through alleyways and things. But you are starting to meet a little bit of very surprised resistance, and you've instructed your men no civilian casualties. So
if they fight, if they fight back, then they'll be arrested and stuff. That's what's going on here.
Okay.
So
the complication there is going to be right now you don't have enough men to really arrest and detain everybody who's going to put up resistance.
Okay.
Every member of the Harmonium carries with them a set of manacles, but that gives you 40 sets of manacles.
Yeah.
The best case scenario, like you could chain these people up and leave them in the street to try to come collect them later.
Where's the SWAT team when you need them?
They're all dressed up in Harmonium armor and marching on the Bazaar.
Yeah.
Most of them are flying.
Many of them are flying.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll me percentile dice.
What I would say is contain a big group of belligerents and do these guys have like Wall of Stone, right? The wizards do?
You ask?
Yeah.
Okay. You're informed that they have prepared a spell called Wall of Force. And the reason they're using that spell and not something like stone or fire is because it's less destructive to property.
All right, then what the idea is I'm going to Wall of Force up a bunch of people, and then how long does that last?
So here's the difficulty with Wall of Force. It has a pretty good range, and it covers a pretty good area. The first difficulty is, because it's a very high-level spell, each mage can only cast it twice.
Okay.
And it also does use concentration. So if these mages are attacked at any point or start to sustain damage, it will drop.
Okay.
It'll last 10 minutes.
Right. But if you order them to use it to contain the first resistance you meet up here, they will do so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What'd you do? How'd you get the those percentile rolls?
I'm rolling them now.
Roll it.
38.
38? That's the worst possible number you could have rolled.
No.
There were 100 numbers and you rolled a 38.
Yeah.
The resistance you run into up here is very surprised. Nobody was really expecting them to come this way. A lot of the people you see here are... refugees is the wrong word. People looking to seek refuge from the main fighting. They figured the Bazaar closer to the Guildhall ward would be more safe from patrols. So The people you run into who are violent towards the Harmonium seem more desperate than anything. Like, holy crap, we weren't expecting you guys to come up this way.
Mm-hmm.
And one of your mages does encase a good number of them inside of a wall of force.
Okay.
Many of the other ones disperse. Your guys suffer no casualties. That wall will stay up for 10 minutes, best case scenario. Mm-hmm. What do you tell these people who are contained?
That we're going to be, that they'll be questioned about a group of people, and once they've been questioned, they'll be free to go.
Okay. Bear with me just 1 second.
And that's going to be the party members. Same descriptions I gave the Harmonium before.
Okay. And at that, the shit starts hitting the fan.
Hooray!
The first brunt of the Harmonium force starts clashing with the first Indepts, and there is bloodshed in the streets of the Bazaar. Watching from your position, Nath, essentially you see the Harmonium march in, and it's the Indepts that start the festivities. They run forward, some of them crying battle cries. You see small groups of Indepts who have kind of formed themselves up into some semblance of a marching order, but the blows begin landing, and people start hitting the street.
I'm going to have my illusionary double move in with these guys throwing daggers from the sideline.
Okay. At this point, in those first few hardhead groups, you see some of the mages start taking flight. And so far, they haven't done anything. They're looking around very alertly. You see them scanning rooftops, primarily. It's going to bring us to Riot and the Naked Hardhead Gang. It's my new band name.
Yeah. I have got to get out of here.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and cast, hopefully, and I'm going to try to do this subtly, so if you want me to make like a stealth roll or something, I can give you that.
It's going to depend on the spell.
Yeah. It's going to be Dimension Door, which is verbal somatic.
Where are you Dimension Dooring to?
One of the rooftop sites scouted previously.
Okay, roll percentile dice before you cast the spell.
Okay. Where'd you put those dice?
They're up on my thing.
Gotcha. We'll say green is 10s. Oh, 06.
Well, 38 was the
6.
worst you could have rolled.
Yeah.
And are you still naked with your hardhead hat on?
Yep.
You Dimension Door up to the roof that you scouted previously. And how close is this to the action down in the Bazaar? This was overlooking Copperman Way, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wanted to be able to see what was going on.
Okay. Alright, well now I have to go to Fantasy Name Generator again.
Uh-huh.
FantasyNameGenerators.com.
You hit your roof, and almost immediately you bumble into a Doomguard on the roof with a longbow, and next to him he has 4 quivers of black shafted arrows. And you have shocked the hell out of him. Appearing. And at first he's startled. You see him pull the bow back, but when he sees that it's a naked Tiefling wearing a harmonium helmet, or a naked human, rather, wearing a harmonium helmet, he grins instead. He says, "Oh, looks like my lucky day."
What? Where's my people?
He will actually shoot you on his turn.
So, basically, Riot just stopped the JFK assassination.
I figured each rooftop has about a 10% chance that an Indep had occupied it since Riot came here last.
So is this an Indef or a Doomguard?
No, he's a Doomguard.
Okay.
Or at least he's wearing Doomguard colors, and he's armed with a Doomguard bow.
Okay.
Do you say or do anything to get him to not shoot you?